Part 36. Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone. Author, Yuan. Chapter 351. Chapter 351 Hint. Arrived at the destination. Ying Cixi and Qin Yanxi got out of the car to carry their luggage. The parents-in-law appeared one after another. The latter took over the work from Ying Cixi. Cixi, please keep an eye on it here. The father-in-law glared at her and cursed in a low voice, "Damn girl," before leaving with her mother-in-law. Ying Cixi was stunned. What happened to her? The captain took the opportunity to talk to Ying Cixi. If I had known that your family's conditions were so good, I should have collected more last time. Look at the gate, the big yard, and the big house. He probably wouldn't be able to afford it even if he struggled all his life. Ying Cixi came back to her senses and asked curiously, "The transportation team belongs to the public, right? Won't the leader deal with it if he often takes on private work?" "What? You want to report me? This is my rest time. As long as I don't delay my business, no one can punish me." Ying Cixi raised her eyebrows slightly. Why is the management of the transportation team so lax? Is it easy to get a driver's license? It was easy for me to take the exam. It only took 1.5 years. Some of my colleagues took the exam for 2 or 3 years. Ying Cixi, 2 or 3 years. She thought she could drive it once she learned it. What, your partner wants to learn to drive? Ying Cixi responded vaguely. At this time, Qin Yanxi stepped out of the door. In order to avoid suspicion, the captain lowered his head. After their luggage was finished, he took Qin Yanxi's 5 yuan. Ying Cixi was very annoyed when she saw this situation. "Why did you charge me 10 yuan last time and only charged my partner 5 yuan? She looked like she was being bullied. "Your partner gave me cigarettes, but you didn't." The captain took out a pack of cigarettes, took out one, lit it, took a puff, and puffed away. "Let's go, you can come to me if you have any work." Ying Cixi couldn't help but take a high look at Qin Yanxi, originally thinking that he was unreasonable and unsophisticated. He actually knows how to use cigarettes to clear the way. It seems that I just didn't bother to do these things in the past. His change made her happy. People still have to learn to be flexible. In today's society, communication is very important. She smiled and said, "ACI, do you know how long it takes to get a driver's license?" "I'm not sure." "What's wrong?" Qin Yanxi also wanted to learn to drive, and the spot this time should have been his. Lao Qin said that by going to college, he would have acquired a skill to make a living. SISI has nothing. Through her trust, she entered the university as a librarian. It is better to use your connections to get a driver's license, travel around the world, see the world, and broaden your horizons. Ying Cixi, the elder brother, just said that it took him 1.5 years to learn to get a driver's license, and some people took 2 or 3 years. It seems that during this period of learning to drive, she still needs to consider solving the problem of transporting goods. I heard that learning to drive requires learning to repair, which probably takes a lot of time. I'll ask Lao Qin later for details. Ying Cixi walked into the new room, which was originally owned by Qin Yanxi. Very close to the main house. Later, it was occupied by Lu Yuechun and given to Lao San. The walls were painted in a bad way. At this time, it was repainted, and the beds and wardrobes were also replaced with new ones. The style is exquisite and valuable at first glance. A dressing table was added next to the window. The counter is filled with skincare products. She was in a good mood and said, "My parents are so kind to us. Everything in the house is brand new. They also gave me cosmetics. There are so many, how can I use them all?" Qin Yanxi snorted lightly. "You don't think too highly of them." When he got married, Lao Qin had already prepared furniture. He spent a lot of money at that time. Now that Qin Jin and Lu Yuechun have moved out, it is impossible for those two people to rent a house. Qin Jin will definitely say, the younger brother's house belongs to the Qin family, why should I rent it? Lao Qin will definitely pay money in order to make Qin Jin feel that he is fair and just. The savings accumulated over the years are probably almost exhausted. Most of these things were prepared by Lao Qin as a hint to his father-in-law. Although he supports his wife's refusal to recognize her relatives, Uncle Shen's contribution cannot always be taken away by Lao Qin, right? He had to tell her, he said, Uncle Shen should have bought it, Lao Qin doesn't have such a good taste. Just think about our marriage bed in the family courtyard. Old, rustic. It will creak if the movement is slightly larger. Really, does this count as my dowry? Yang Sisi felt like she couldn't express her anger. In the past few days, her mother had no dreams, indicating that she was unwilling to forgive him. Mom doesn't forgive, and she doesn't forgive either. No matter how much he gives, he never expects me to repay him. Qin Yanxi did not comment. As things developed today, his attitude toward Uncle Shen changed from reproach to sympathy. It's really hard to find a daughter-in-law's house. He lived there for half a month before he could figure out the direction. He changed the topic, I don't plan to go to teacher Jiang's house tomorrow. Where do you want to go? I'll accompany you after tomorrow, he will leave again, and we may have to wait until the 6th day of next month to see him again. He was very reluctant to part with her. Yang Sisi asked, aren't you going to take a break? He has been studying during this period and did not take a break on weekends. If you sit for a whole day and your body doesn't get exercise, will it make you weak? ACI, shall we go for a morning jog from now on? Every time I pass by the park, many uncles and aunties are exercising. There are also people practicing Tai Chi. Those uncles and aunts said that if you don't exercise regularly when you are young, your body will get rusty when you are old, and it will hurt here or there. Okay, but I have something to do these days, so I have to wait. Qin Yanxi had already planned to trick the man into learning boxing from Shen Yushan during his absence. When Shen Yushan was young, he received high-intensity military training. The treatment of students, especially as a son-in-law, must be extremely strict. That man was trained almost to death by Shen Yushan during the day, so he went home and fell asleep, so he didn't bother to seduce his wife. Yang Sisi said in her heart, your trouble is to be occupied by another person, right? Where did you go when you disappeared for a few days? She wanted to ask so much, but she didn't know where to start. I failed to get the certificate for the medicinal materials. Qin Yanxi felt very guilty. He had a rare opportunity to help his wife, but he didn't take it. Yang Sisi's expectations were not fulfilled, and she felt uncomfortable and disappointed, but in just a second, she smiled, it doesn't matter. In fact, the price of buying medicinal materials here is not cheaper than buying it back home. If it weren't for the close distance and the low risk, I wouldn't choose it. Woolen cloth. And I'm going to put the buying and selling thing on hold for a while, because today she recounted her experience in the black market. Do you think Shen Ru is following me? Most likely, be careful when going out. The couple were talking quietly while packing their luggage. After arranging all the items they brought, they moved to the side room. Yang Sisi said, this room will be used as your study from now on. You can lie down and rest when you are tired. I will buy a bookshelf and put it here tomorrow so that you can place books conveniently. You arrange it. Qin Yanxi also had this meaning. And the wing was some way away from her room. It is convenient for him to communicate with that person on the last day. Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone. Author, Yuan. Chapter 352. Chapter 352 Voiceover. Although she knew his secret, he was unwilling to put the written information on how he communicated with that person in front of her. ACI, after we move out, will the family courtyard be empty? Dad's place is where he rests from time to time if he works overtime, he would probably live there. What, are you planning to move back in the future? Just ask. Banquet farewell, Sissy, it's time to eat. Chin's mother's voice sounded from outside the door. Hey, here we come. Yang Sissy responded and went out with Chin Yancy and walked to the main house. When she sat down, she was keenly aware of the stabbing blow given to her by her father-in-law. Thinking about it, I wonder where I offended her. After the children have left, there is one aunt left in the family who is responsible for daily cleaning and cooking. The large hall seemed empty. Chin's mother ate her meal and sighed, it's been a lot deserted after the children left. Chin Yanjun, this is called quietness. As a grandpa, don't you miss them at all? What's there to think about? Chin Yanjun said in a disdainful tone, feeling no better than Chin's mother. After all, he was his own child. She has always been by my side and has a deep affection for her. But their mother forced him to compromise by becoming a grandfather in the name of moving out. If you leave them at home. When Lu Yuechun came to visit, he would inevitably instigate their hatred towards him. Harry to growth. Kicked them all away, Qin Jin brought them back for reunion every week. He only needed to pamper them a little more to make them have a bad relationship with Lu Yuechun. In the long run, they will naturally no longer think about following Lu Yuechun. Let's have a baby at Yancy. It's so exciting to have a child. Qin's mother began to give birth. Qin Yancy, I am a boy, how can I give birth? Ask my wife. Yang Sisi almost laughed out loud, you can't learn to get a driver's license when you're pregnant. Qin Yanjun, yes, how old are you? You are not in a hurry to have a baby. Shen Yuxian had a shadow over Sic's mother's difficult labor. He was afraid that the daughter would also have difficult labor, so she specifically told him that he was not allowed to induce labor. Sisi has the final say whether to give birth or not. Mother of Qin, you are very old. Who is older? Qin Yancy didn't mind being called older. I'm only 26 after all I've done. By the time your father and I were 16, your brother was already a master of soy sauce. Qin's mother said. That's a matter between you two. If you want to make fun, you can have a child yourself. Our child is our treasure, not just for your fun. Mother of Qin, what did you say? You're rude, kid. Qin Yanjun scolded. Thank you for your teaching. Qin Yanjun, Yang Sisi was as quiet as a chicken, eating her meal in silence and listening to Qin's banquet speech 1 to 2. Eat and drink enough. She put down the dishes and went back to her room. Since there was her backyard behind the window, there was no need to draw the curtains. She looked at the vegetable garden in the backyard through the window, and suddenly she was inspired. Her father-in-law once said, land in the countryside will be distributed to each household. If a farmer grows medicinal materials, the cost of purchasing them will be lower, right? The mountains in my hometown are rich in medicinal materials. Indicate that the environment and land there are suitable for the growth of medicinal materials. If she can persuade the fellow villagers to grow medicinal materials and then contact them to purchase them, as a matchmaker, not only can she get a part of the profit, but all the medicinal materials can also be used by her. Thinking about this, she walked out of the room. After waiting for her father-in-law to enter the study, she poured a cup of tea to cleanse her intestines, walked over and knocked on the door. Dad, it's me. Sisi, the door is unlocked, come in. Yang Sisi opened the door and entered the house. Dad, I'll pour you a cup of tea to relieve the oil. I haven't eaten any meat today, so why bother? If you have anything to say, just say it. Qin Yanjun focused on the documents in front of him. Yang Sisi coughed to hide her embarrassment. Well, you said last time that land will be divided in the countryside. I want to ask, when will it be divided? I want to fight for a good land for my grandmother. Qin Yanjun raised his eyes. Aren't you going to the city to retire? She's not used to it here and is ready to leave. She is an old lady, can she farm the land? Well, she is in good health and works like young people during the busy farming season. She can cultivate 1 or 2 acres of land. When she becomes inconvenient, I will take her to the city, Ying Sisi said. Qin Yanjun, probably summer, I don't know the specific time. I advise you not to interfere with your grandma's land allocation. I have an in-depth understanding of the situation in the countryside. For the sake of fairness, they will definitely draw lots. Whoever gets the good land will own it. You can do a secret operation and it will be fine if no one discovers it. But if someone discovers it, it will be serious. If the old lady's land is not good, you can subsidize her a little every month and let her pay attention to the warmth and cold so as not to get sick. As long as the elderly are in good health, they don't need to spend much money. What I am afraid of is illness. 3 differences of 5-1 medicine, no matter how rich families, can't stand a little consumption. Okay, Ying Sisi got the answer she wanted and was about to leave. Qin Yanjun stopped her. Did you go to the black market today? You still want to buy other people's wolfberries? Ying Sisi blurted out, did you find someone to follow me? That's why he glared at her. If I don't find anyone to follow you, you'll just make a deal. Ying Sisi, Qin Yanjun, if you want to do business, why not get a driver's license? I will arrange for you to work as a salesperson in a fan factory, and you can also go on business trips from time to time. Ying Sisi rubbed the tip of her nose with her fingers and said caably, I'm just shopping for fun, no business. I'm very willing to learn a driver's license, and I'm also interested in it. You said fan factory salesman, after I learn to drive, go to it's okay to do it. Qin Yanjun laughed angrily, he wanted to take advantage of everything, right? Why didn't I realize you were so greedy for money before? Ying Sisi said weakly, I've been like this since I was a child. She was afraid of poverty and couldn't move around with money. I don't care what you do. Don't touch these things in the next month or 2. A new wave of raids is coming. If you are caught, I can only exterminate the relatives out of justice and use you as a model, Qin Yanjun said seriously. Ying Sisi understood the pronunciation of his words. If you don't touch it for 1 or 2 months, you can touch it in the 3rd month, right? It is now May in the Gregorian calendar, and we will wait until July, when the weather is the hottest. Then she followed her original plan and sent the old lady back to her hometown for summer vacation, and then talked to the medicinal material factory in her hometown about purchasing medicinal materials. Before that, she still had to try her best to purchase medicines from the local medicinal market. She promised, well, I can carry it clearly and understand the priorities. Hope so. Ying Sisi left the study and returned to her room. Qin Yansi was nowhere to be seen. She found some clothes and went into the bathroom to wash up. It is still comfortable to live in the courtyard house, and the bathroom is large and spacious. After washing her face, brushing her teeth and taking a shower, she changed into clean clothes and walked back. There was a pain in my foot halfway down the road. She reached out and touched it, and found that it was a rusty nail that had punctured her shoes. Fortunately, she walked lightly and the nails did not puncture her feet. Where did the nails come from? The ground is paved with bricks, so even if there are nails, they shouldn't puncture your shoes. Please vote. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone. Author, Yuan. Chapter 353. Chapter 353, Falling out is faster than turning over the book. Ying Sisi pulled out the nail and looked at the ground through the light in the courtyard. Several nails standing vertically. Looking closely, the surface is stained with rust. After she pulled them out one by one, the smell of dead mice wafted into her nose. She looked around. Find out that the source of the smell is your own hands. She had just taken a shower and the only things she had come into contact with were nails. Daughter-in-law. A cold voice came. Here we come. Ying Sisi put the nails in the corner, went back to the bathroom, washed her hands and feet with soap, rinsed them 3 times, and returned to the room. Qin Yanci, what did you and Lao Qin say after dinner? Today I went shopping in the black market, and it was he who found someone to follow me. He told me to be more honest recently. As a result, I lost the opportunity to make money. Once I changed hands, those wolf berries would not be used up in 2 weeks according to our food standards today. Ying Sisi secretly thought it was a pity. Are your parents having financial difficulties? When have you come back before? When has it not been a big deal? Today I am completely vegetarian. Rice has also been replaced with whole grains. I guess, even so, I won't contribute money to subsidize the family, and you shouldn't pay for it. Qin Yanci took off his coat and held the clothes he wanted to change in his hand. He asked, is there any hot water? Yes, you bring a flashlight and look at the ground as you walk. I almost got my foot punctured by a nail just now. Ying Sisi simply explained what happened. Not only was the nail rusty, but it also smelled like a dead rat. I don't know who put it there, and it pricked the skin, indicating that I was infected with tetanus. When I was living in a family home earlier, I once went downstairs to drink swill and was cut into the palm of my hand by an iron nail coming out of the handrail. Uncle Joe saw it and said that the rusty iron product scratched the skin and that he needed to go to the hospital for a tetanus vaccine. Otherwise, once infected, your life will be at risk. She was so frightened that she quickly went to the hospital to get an injection to feel at ease. Today's nails are not only rusty but also smelly. It must be man-made. Qin Yanci clenched his fists. It must have been Lu Yuechan. I knew I shouldn't have moved back. His room is behind the main house. Qin Jin brings the whole family back every week, right? If Lu Yuechan wanted to put something into his house, it would be easy. Ying Sisi did not agree with his point of view. Her parents-in-law also took a break on weekends. When Lu Yuechan came, something happened to them. Her father-in-law was the first to suspect her. There are no more than 3 things to do. Lu Yuechan repeatedly challenged the father-in-law's authority, and the father-in-law would never tolerate it. Lu Yuechan is not that stupid. Even if the nails in the house are related to her, she has already thought of a countermeasure. Then she will only alert the enemy. We have no evidence about this, so please don't spread it everywhere. We will wait and see what happens and wait for opportunities. Qin Yanci thought carefully. Okay, I'll listen to you. Yes, you are right to listen to me, Ying Sisi said confidently. Qin Yanci raised a smile and turned around to go out. Ying Sisi wiped her hair dry and leaned against the back of the bed. She picked up the book on the bedside table and read it. After turning 2 pages, Qin Yanci came back. He took out the book in her hand and said, "Stop reading. Just turn on the light at night. Reading hurts your eyes." He glanced at the cover of the book, Dream of Red Mansions. Is this book good? Ying Sisi, it's so elaborate that I can't understand it. I only know that Jia Beiyu was the waiter of Shenying in her previous life, and Lin Dai was the Crimson Pearl immortal grass. Because of the kindness of dripping water, she will repay it with tears in this life. ACI, do you believe in the past and present lives? How did she and him get together in their last life? She married Feng Shuangzi, but had a child with a CI. According to her character. Even if she despised Feng Shuangzi, she would not ask Qin Yanci to have a child. Qin Yanci didn't believe it, but the person left a message and gave an example of how Li Yue had lived an extra life. Let his materialistic belief be somewhat shaken. Xin, if you had memories of your past life, would you still choose me as your partner? Hard to say. Qin Yanxi turned around faster than turning over the pages of a book, with a gloomy expression and aggrieved and angry eyes. She actually didn't firmly choose him. Ying Sisi secretly held her forehead. She was angry again. How can I be so angry all day long? In a few months, he will have to go to college, right? When I got to school and got along with my classmates, I still didn't change my personality. Suffering a loss is inevitable. She decided to test his patience and deliberately left him alone. It wasn't until he was about to go berserk that she slowly revealed the reason. I have memories, but you don't. You are several years older than me. If you are married when I find you, I can't destroy it, right? If I also have a memory, I'll be waiting for you. Ying Sisi, can't you come to me? Do you have to wait for me to find you? My family lives in the mountains, and the travel expenses to Beijing are so high. How long will it take for me to get together? And I'm not sure you will recognize me if I find you. In her heart, she didn't want to start over with memories. Because her birth meant that her mother would leave. She would rather die than herself. Without her. Whether mother chooses to wait for Uncle Shen or remarry, she should be able to live a good life. Qin Yanxi choked, I'm worried about getting lost. You've been living there for half a month and still got lost. Ying Sisi didn't believe that he couldn't tell the direction, so she prepared an excuse for Uncle Shen. There are too many bends in the mountain road and it's hard to find. Qin Yanxi cut off the topic. Let's have a rest. If he continued, his wife would have misunderstood him and become a lobbyist for Shen Yushan. Ying Sisi, lie down. Qin Yanxi turned off the lights, took the initiative to approach Ying Sisi, and held her in his arms to feel at ease. The next morning, Ying Sisi wakes up naturally and touches the person next to her when raising her arm. Look sideways. His eyes were closed and he was sleeping soundly. In response to Sisi's action, she carefully got out of bed, put on her clothes, opened the door and walked out. She checked the only way to the bathroom and found no nails on the ground. The few in the corners were the ones she had placed last night. She picked up a nail with straw paper and threw it out of the wall. Go into the bathroom, tidy up, and walk towards the main room, neither fast nor slow. Meet Aunt Jin carrying a vegetable basket. She said, hello, good morning, Aunt Jin. I'm going to buy groceries. Yes, hey, since your eldest brother's family moved away, the food in our family has been getting worse day by day. Today, your mother only gave me 50 cents, but she asked me to buy food for the whole family, so I can only eat some cheap vegetarian food. The aunt said, looking back and forth, I suspect that your eldest brother's family has taken all the money at home. Ying Sisi looked at Aunt Jin, what do you mean by this? Play off? Aunt Jin had always had a good impression on her. Now, she had some opinions about it. She said, there are so many vegetables grown in the backyard. What else do you buy if you are a vegetarian? Give me 50 cents and I will save it for my mother. She held out her palm. It's not like I haven't bought groceries before. Vegetables are very cheap this season. Green vegetables cost less than 2 cents per pound. Shiitake mushrooms are slightly more expensive, costing less than 2 cents per pound. Although you can't buy meat for 50 cents, you can't just buy vegetarian food. Hunting is enough for a family to eat for several days. Auntie, you can't just eat the same thing. Ying Sisi, just give it to me. Auntie had to take out the money. After Ying Sisi took it, she went into the kitchen to find breakfast. There were porridge and fried dumplings in the pot. She is eating. Qin Yan's resignation is here. Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone. Author, Yuan. Chapter 354. Chapter 354, Playing Tricks on Him. Ying Sisi smiled brightly and said, ACI, come over and eat quickly. Will you go to the vegetable market with me later? Isn't Aunt Jin shopping for groceries at home? I'll buy it from now on. Yang Sisi expressed her suspicion of Aunt Jin taking kickbacks. I support taking kickbacks when buying things. The book says that if the water is clear, there will be no fish. She helps us with errands and gets some errand fees. Yes, but when you take the money, you don't remember the good things about your employer, but instead say bad things about your employer, which makes people unhappy. Qin Yanxi's view of right and wrong is black and white. This kind of person should be driven away. Yang Sisi, Aunt Jin does a good job. If we drive her away, the people we can find may not be as skillful as her. If it doesn't work, just look for it. It's so easy to find. Yang Sisi urged him to eat quickly. After a meal, the two of them came to the vegetable market. Yang Sisi took a walk around and found a stall selling rabbits for 30 cents each and 2 for 50 cents. She spent 50 cents to buy 2 little meat rabbits. Qin Yan said, "Make spicy rabbit head. Buy and raise them, breed them, and eat meat when they grow up." Qin Yanxi, "Will yours last until then?" Yang Sisi, She specifically asked the seller how to feed them. The other party said to feed some grass or peel off the vegetable leaves at home. Yang Sisi remembered that in order to house 2 rabbits, she bought a large cage and went out to cut grass and feed them. Qin Yanxi looked at the sun rising higher and higher, feeling powerless in his heart. In 10 hours, he should leave. "Daughter-in-law, shall we watch a movie this afternoon?" "I don't want to see it." Yang Sisi was very curious about the newly bought little rabbit. "I want to go home and feed the little rabbit." Qin Yanxi, "Can't you just throw a handful of grass to them?" "I have to watch them eat." Qin Yanxi, "Why didn't you look at me while I was eating? Haven't you seen it in the mountains? They run too fast and have never seen them up close. I only know that the they is round and golden, called mung sand, and can be sold for money. I used to like picking it up the most." Qin Yanxi never paid attention to it. Wanjiao. "What can I say? I heard it is a Chinese medicinal material." After the two returned to the courtyard, Qin Yan resigned and went into the wing to read. Yang Sisi accompanied the rabbit, sometimes petting it and sometimes holding it. In the evening, Aunt Jin came to her and said, "Sisi, today we will only eat big cakes and vegetables. You can boil another egg, peel it and cut it into pieces, then top it with minced garlic and soy sauce. It's also considered a dish." Yang Sisi laid out the pickles made in her family's courtyard. There are also beef sauce and mushroom sauce, both of which can be cooked. "According to what you said, our family is poor, so we can save money if we can." Aunt Jin regretted not following Lu Yuechun and staying in the big house. Not only would she have more work, but she would also have less money and money. "Hey, your parents' combined salary is several hundred a month. You don't need to save so much, right? Didn't you say that all the money in the family was given to the eldest brother? If the ones left behind are not frugal, how can we have money to provide for them?" "Aunt Jin, don't you think it's unfair? I don't think my eldest brother's family has young children, so my parents have to pay more. I can understand." "Okay, Aunt, let's cook quickly. My parents will get off work later. Father Qin and Mother Qin after get off work." I knew that Yang Sisi had bought rabbits and raised them, and praised her for being virtuous and knowing how to save. Qin's mother even sighed in her heart. Fortunately, she chose Sisi at that time. She grew up in the countryside, is not squeamish, and can do any job. The backyard at home is empty. "I will buy you some chickens to raise tomorrow." "Sure." Qin Yanxi, it's better to say goodbye. He had a hunch that she couldn't keep the rabbit alive. If she dies, she will have to doubt her abilities. "My daughter-in-law needs to learn how to get a driver's license in the future, so how can she have time to take care of those things? Raising chickens is easy, just keep them in a cage and put food in them morning and evening." "Don't you need to clean it?" Qin Yanxi said. Mother Qin could not refute, "That's right." In the evening, Yang Sisi put some weeds into the cage. As she walked away, she felt something was wrong. After thinking for a long time, she thought she should give the rabbit some water. She went into the kitchen, scooped out a bowl of water, put it in the cage and returned to the bedroom. The room was empty, so she called out, "ACI." When she called out for the third time, Chin's father responded to her, the wing in front. Yang Sisi walked over. The door to the wing was closed. She reached out and couldn't push it open, so she knocked, "ACI." Chin Yancy wrote a message diligently, and when he heard her voice, he quickly put the letter away. "Here he is." Yang Sisi paid attention to his condition, which was no different from the daytime. "Aren't you going to rest? I still have a few questions that I haven't solved yet. You go back to sleep first." Yang Sisi responded and walked out of the room. Chin Yancy waited until she was gone, then gently closed the door and continued to leave a message. "Go back to the bedroom after writing." Yang Sisi had already fallen asleep. He sat on the edge of the bed, reached out and touched her face gently with the back of his hand. He looked at her for a while before getting up and leaving. He went into the bathroom to wash himself and went back to the private room to wait to change back. Chin Yancy woke up again, feeling that he had slept for as long as a century. "Turn on the light and check the time first." At 1:30 on the first day of the lunar month. It was the last time he woke up. He found the other party's message, read it and burned it. Then go back to the courtyard. As soon as you enter the door, you feel something is different. Going straight to the room, the color of the quilt on the bed changed. Originally it was light color, now it is dark color. Does his family have sheets like this? Open the wardrobe, there was not a single piece of clothing in it. Where has his sister-in-law gone? It suddenly occurred to him that the photos and portraits on the TV cabinet in the living room were missing. He panicked. "Shout loudly, SISI, SISI. Go to the doorman and ask." The boy on duty looked at him strangely. "Didn't you and your wife move?" Chin Yancy was angry. What a bastard. Even SISI knew that they were two people, but deliberately concealed the move. It was obvious that he was playing tricks on him. He calmed down and analyzed, thinking that Sisi had moved back to the courtyard. Wait until she returns to the courtyard again. The lights in the yard are on. He thought for a while and walked to his original room. The lights were on but no one was in the room. Albums and portraits are placed on the partition next to the dressing table. There is one more portrait. At this point, he understood why SISI knew that they were two people. Because of this painting. She must have recognized the fact that they were two people because of this painting. SISI, Chin Yan called softly as he left the house. SISI. Here, Yang Sisi responded from behind him. Chin Yan resigned and turned around. Yang Sisi looked at the glasses he put on, and her heart tightened. She changed people. Are you feeling unwell? Chin Yancy was full of guilt about being angry with her when he left last time. Much better. Do you care about me? Can she tell the difference between the two of them? Is her concern at this time only for him? Yang Sisi nodded, almost invisible. Chin Yancy was very happy. You stayed up so late, waiting for me. She also looked forward to meeting him, right? I got up to go to the toilet and looked at the rabbits, and then I heard you calling me. Chin Yancy, looking at rabbits? Is he not as good as a rabbit? When did you raise the rabbit? That bastard. Didn't mention it again. He followed Yang Sisi to the backyard. Please vote. Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone. Author, Yuan. Chapter 355. Chapter 355, Jealousy. The two of them went to the rabbit cage together. Yang Sisi squatted down and turned on the flashlight. She saw that the originally pure white rabbit now became dirty, her feet were wet, and she was not in good spirits. Who made my bunny so dirty? Qin Yancy looked at it carefully. It looks like diarrhea. His eyes fell on the bowl in the cage and suddenly said, have you fed them raw water? Is it related to me feeding water? The high probability is, I'm just guessing. Yang Sisi opened the cage and took out the bowl. What should we do now? You won't die, right? I'm not sure. Let's give him anti-inflammatory medicine and see how it goes. I'll go find some medicine. Qin Yancy stood up and left. Yang Sisi's eyes fell on his back. It was late at night, the door of the main house was closed, and they had just moved back. Does he know where the medicine was? The previous ACI told him even such a trivial matter, how many words would he have to write? She quietly walked around the back wall, waited for Qin Yancy to enter the bedroom, and hid by the wall to peek. I saw him accurately opening the box where she kept the medicine, finding the corresponding medicine, picking out one, and taking it out. Yang Sisi narrowed her eyes and returned to her original place to guard him. ACI, will you still review tomorrow? Want me to accompany you? Qin Yancy crushed the medicine and sprinkled it into the fodder. The said that during her absence, she was plotted by Shen Ru and almost died. Shen Yushan took the initiative to teach him boxing and kicking. The other party has suffered the hardship of learning. He has to do the work of exercising the body. After careful consideration, he agreed to adopt it. Shen Yushan taught him, and when he turned around to teach Sisi, it was inevitable that there would be physical contact and he could take advantage of her. I'm playing with rabbits at home and I don't need you to accompany me. Yang Sisi got up and walked to the room. Qin Yancy caught up with her in a few steps and put his arms around her shoulders. Yang Sisi's whole body trembled and she felt goosebumps on her neck. What's so fun about rabbits? Can you go fishing with me tomorrow morning? He looked at her expectantly. Yang Sisi lowered her eyelashes, first removed his hand without leaving a trace, and then promised him, okay. Qin Yancy was unhappy because of her actions a second ago, but he was happy to hear her response. She raised her hand again, and when it was mid-air, she took it back and put it behind her. She already knew his secret. Now, she was definitely not used to being intimate with two people one after another. He had to give her some time to adapt. After the two of them returned to the room, they lay down on each side. Sisi Qin Yancy called her because he couldn't sleep. Yang Sisi remained silent, closed her eyes and tried to fall asleep. She was worried that if she responded to him, he would come over and hug her, and then do something else. She had only been intimate with that ACI a few days ago, and she couldn't accept it so quickly if it was someone else today. She has to think carefully about her relationship with them. Qin Yancy couldn't wait for a reply and thought she was pretending to be asleep. I feel angry and jealous. Judging from her attitude, who did she choose? She doesn't choose him, as long as he doesn't bother her. He sat up suddenly and deliberately lifted the quilt off her body as well. Get out of bed, turn on the light, open the door hard and swing it shut, rush straight to the side room, lie down and toss and turn, unable to fall asleep. If she really fell asleep and he lifted her quilt, would he freeze her? It's the beginning of summer. The weather is not cold. He closed his eyes and continued silently. It was still cold at night, and the windows were open. He got up again and returned to his original bedroom. Yang Sisi had already covered herself with quilt, so he got into bed again, deliberately making noise. Yang Sisi couldn't bear it any longer, so she sat up and said in a gentle tone, ACI, aren't you sleepy? She went back and forth, and the door almost burst open. Qin Yancy looked at her. I feel uncomfortable and can't sleep. Uncomfortable? Yang Sisi became nervous. Where do you feel uncomfortable? I feel uncomfortable all over. I have a headache. Would you like to rub it for me? Yang Sisi saw that his face was rosy. It didn't look like he was feeling uncomfortable. Was he pretending? To get her attention on purpose? She hesitated for a moment. Okay, you sit on the stool over there. There's no need to go to such trouble. Qin Yanxi could no longer bear her resistance to him and put his head on her lap. Just rub it for me. Yang Sisi resisted the urge to kick him and rubbed his head while looking outside. Since there were no buildings around her house, she did not draw the curtains. Through the window, a crescent moon can be seen high in the sky. This late. Isn't he sleepy? Your body needs rest, right? Si. Yang Sisi lowered her head to look at him, and immediately looked away. What are you doing, Sisi? Sisi, you are afraid that I don't know that you have changed the core. Qin Yanxi, you look beautiful this way. Everyone likes to hear nice words. Yang Sisi was no exception. She raised the corners of her mouth involuntarily, and then lowered them for just 1 second. Your head doesn't hurt anymore. It still hurts a little. Qin Yanxi reached out and covered his head. Please press it for a while. Close your eyes. Yang Sisi couldn't stand his direct gaze, which seemed to be seductive. Qin Yanxi did as he was told. After about 2 minutes, he took the initiative to step away. Okay. Yang Sisi fell asleep again, covering her mouth and yawning lightly. She felt so sleepy. After turning off the lights, Qin Yanxi said, Si, why don't you stay next to me? It's hot, I'll sweat if I'm too close. Qin Yanxi, is that all? He believed her for now. Early the next morning, Yang Sisi got up and looked at the little rabbit. He was alive and well and not as dirty as he had seen at night. Clean, as if you have taken a bath. She cleaned the nest and put the grass and medicine again. Qin Yanxi was jealous and said, taking care of them is more important than taking care of me. I take care of the food. I can eat it too. Qin Yanxi cleared his throat, consciously speaking loudly, and the tips of his ears turned red. Yang Sisi, not serious. How many days do you need to take these medicines? 3 days, people take anti-inflammatory medicines for 3 days. Qin Yanxi, I don't know much about it either. Feed her for 3 days and stop if she doesn't poop. Yang Sisi, how about taking it to the veterinarian and asking? Where are the veterinarians in the city? I only know that there are in the countryside. Rabbits are timid. If you take them to the countryside, if you go into the village and a dog barks like that, you may be scared to death. Yang Sisi opened her eyes slightly in surprise. Really? If you don't believe me, try it. Yang Sisi should listen to him. After breakfast, prepare your fishing gear and go fishing with him. The two of them found a river close to home. A row of fishermen were already sitting on the shore. She and Qin Yanxi found a quiet place to put down their fishing rods, but didn't catch a fish for a long time. The fish here are so good that they don't even bite the hook. She would definitely be able to catch them at the secret base in the countryside, but unfortunately the fields there are people everywhere. As long as she enters the woods, there is a risk of being discovered. If those people follow her footprints in, the fish inside will suffer. Qin Yanxi, be patient. Yang Sisi sat for a while, put down the fishing rod and walked around. Her sharp eyes spotted a black snakeskin bag floating 4 or 5 meters away from her. The bulging bag, what does it contain? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone. Author, Yuan. Chapter 356. Chapter 356 Avoiding Suspicion. Yang Sisi found a pole and rowed the bag to the shore. When she got close, she stretched out her hand to drag it up. Deadly sinking. What good stuff is it? She opened the bag and what she saw was the top of a person's head. The scalp was swollen and white because it had been soaked in water. She was shocked and froze on the spot. After a long time, the sound came out of the throat. Ah! Someone is dead. Qin Yanxi stared intently at the water. When he heard the sound, he saw Yang Sisi running towards him. The color on her originally pink and white face now faded. Yang Sisi rushed into his arms with a gust of wind. There is a dead person. It scares me to death. It scares me to death. Qin Yanxi followed the direction she came from and saw the bulging snakeskin bag on the ground. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid, I'm here. He gently patted her back to comfort her. People around heard the commotion and came forward to watch. Those with poor psychological quality have already started to vomit. The timid ones pack up their things and run away immediately. Qin Yanxi also put away the fishing gear and left with the frightened Yang Sisi. Yang Sisi has not recovered enough yet when she gets home. Qin Jing grabbed the eldest and second eldest children and came to Yang Sisi. You two little brats, tell me what you did quickly. Little aunt, I'm sorry, your rabbit was accidentally drowned by me and us. Drown upon hearing. Yang Sisi thought of the corpse soaking in the water, couldn't stand the stimulation anymore, and fainted. Before losing consciousness. In addition to hearing Qin Yanxi calling her name anxiously, there were also the cries of two children. Yang Sisi was sent to the hospital by her whole family. The doctor examined her and said she was a little frightened but nothing serious. It's a banquet, I'll buy the rabbit back later to compensate you, Qin Jin said flatteringly. Lu Yuechun rolled his eyes. Her two cousins were killed by Yang Sisi, but they were not frightened. Only 2 rabbits died today. Just fainted? It can really be pretended. Qin Yanxi, no, the ones you bought are not the 2 she raised. From now on, take care of your children and don't mess around with things that are not yours. Fortunately, they are rabbits. If they were the children of Sisi and me, is that okay? You go, I'm sorry. Qin Yan resigned and sent several people out. Qin Jin, Lu Yuechun whispered, who wants to come? Qin Yanjun walked behind. When everyone left the door, he closed the door and said, what's going on at the banquet? She was visiting the black market, doing business and beating people. What kind of things would she not dare to do? Are you dizzy because of 2 little rabbits? Qin Yanxi explained the reason. Fetch out a corpse. She dared to fish out anything in the river, she was so scared, Qin Yanjun said. Qin Yanxi frowned, do you have any objections to me? Qin Yanjun, who has any problem with you? You have no objection to me, so why do you say no to Sisi in front of me? Qin Yanjun, As an elder, I can't criticize the younger generation. Sisi is just your daughter-in-law, not your daughter. You didn't give birth to her or raise her, so how can you blame her? I'll tell her father later and ask him to talk to you. Qin Yanjun, is his biological son? You kid, if you dare to talk nonsense, I won't cut you. I guess I can't beat him, Qin Yan said in a calm and unhurried tone. Qin Yanjun left angrily and turned around when he opened the door. You two found the body. It's best to go to the nearby criminal investigation team to make a record and see if you can provide some clues to others. New. Qin Yanxi was the only one left in the ward. He silently guarded Yang Sisi until she woke up after a long while. The first thing I saw when I opened my eyes was him. Feeling more at ease, he looked around. ACI, is this the hospital you sent me to, Qin Yanxi? Who else can be there besides me? My parents and Qin and Jin have been here and have left. It's okay, don't leave afraid. Yang Sisi's heart was beating fast. How can we not be afraid of dead people? My scalp is numb now when I think about that scene. Did you watch it? Qin Yanxi naturally didn't look at it. She was so bold that she was scared to death. He is no better than her. Aren't you by my side? She didn't know whether he looked or not. Yang Sisi, my head was racing at the time and I didn't care about anything. Do you know that your rabbit has been played with by the boss and the second child? Qin Yanxi suggested again. Yang Sisi was furious. Well, My rabbits are fine in the cage. I didn't attract them or mess with them. She remembered that when she was their age, she would cry when her grandfather killed fish. Let alone the chicken that kills the duck. So ruthless at such a young age. What will it become when you get big? I remember those two children were quite well behaved. Chin Yancy had the impression that the children did not dare to touch his and Ceci's things. It will be strange if you can do good things if you follow Lu Yuechan, Ying Cici said shamelessly. After Ying Cici woke up, Chin Yancy was discharged from the hospital. Took her to a nearby wonton shop and ordered 2 small wontons. Ying Cici had little appetite, so she only ate 2 and then put down her spoon. "ACI, let me eat for you, I'm full." "Eat so much?" Ying Cici held her chin up and watched him eat. Chin Yancy took out a handkerchief to wipe the sweat and met her eyes. "Why are you looking at me like that?" She had avoided his gaze in the morning, but now she was looking straight at him. Was it a challenge to his endurance? Ying Cici lowered her eyes. "Who is looking at you?" Chin Yancy smiled and said, "Okay, you didn't read." After he finished eating and paid, he went to the criminal police team with her and explained his purpose. The other party asked SISI to describe the situation in detail. Ying Cici had to recall it all over again, and after finishing speaking, a layer of cold sweat broke out on her back. After finishing the note and leaving, her legs were still a little weak while walking in the sun. Back in the courtyard, she went to bed. When I woke up and took a nap, the room was pitch dark. The surroundings were quiet, and she could hear the sound of the TV coming from the main room in front. She turned on the light and called Chin Yancy. No reply for a long time. Finding the main house, my parents-in-law sat in front of the TV in the living room and watched programs. "Cici is awake." "Where's ACI?" Ying Cici said. "I went out after seeing you back during the day." Chin's mother said, "Come over and watch TV." Ying Cici walked over and just sat down. "Chin Yanjun, Cici, come to the study with me." "Oh." Mother Chin glanced at the two of them and said, "What can't you say to my face? Is it normal to bring your daughter-in-law into the study to talk? You don't know how to avoid suspicion. As soon as my daughter-in-law comes in, I should run away from home. That would be the best way to avoid suspicion," Chin Yanjun said and entered the study. "Wait for Ying Cici to close the door." He said directly, "I went to the family home at noon, and Xiao Sun gave me a package of things, a total of 20 kilograms. It was sent by someone named Ding Xia from your hometown." "What was in it?" "Hair growth paste material." Ying Cici revealed her secret and no longer hid it. "It should be, but I have clearly told her that I will not accept her things, and she still sends them. Maybe she thinks I am being taken advantage of." Chin Yanjun laughed. "This is the first time I heard a speculator say that he was taken advantage of. Please vote. Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone." Author, Yuan. Chapter 357. Chapter 357, Fell into that bastard's trap. Ying Cici was inexplicably laughed at by him. Since she was in the wrong, she did not dare to ask any questions, so she took the initiative and said, "Where are the things? Tomorrow I will go to the post office and return them the same way." "I have already returned it." "I went to the post office to return it in person." Chin Yanjun half-warned, "You are not allowed to visit the black market, let alone play with Lashizi hair growth cream. Even if you do it, you can only use it for your own family. Get out." Oh, Ying Cici responded obediently and exited the room. Chin's mother asked her to sit down, mentioned the rabbit thing, and criticized the behavior of the two children. "The eldest and the second child are so shameful. I will ask Aunt Jin to pay attention to the vegetable market when she goes shopping tomorrow. There are rabbits selling them. Let's start again. Buy 2 for you." Ying Cici was about to refuse. Aunt Jin said meaningfully, I'd better leave the grocery shopping to Sissy, lest she think I'm trying to make money. How is that possible? Chin's mother said, you will still buy it from now on. By the way, you can warm up the food that I left for Sisi. Aunt Jin felt she had lost face because Yang Sisi asked for the cost of buying vegetables in person. Yang Sisi was full of complaints. At this moment, she had the opportunity to retaliate and deliberately only heated vegetarian dishes. Mother Chin glanced at the stir-fried green vegetables and green pepper tofu. Why is there no braised pork? Ah, I forgot. Sissy, just make do with it, otherwise the food in your bowl will be cold by the time I heat it up. Yang Sissy didn't want to argue with Aunt Jin. That's it, it's good. She picked up the vegetables and saw her hair. The image of corpses by the river came into my mind. She covered her mouth and retched. Mother Chin stood up to check. What's wrong? I feel bad, vomit. You're not pregnant, are you? Chin's mother was very surprised. What was said yesterday to be unbearable is today. Children don't come just because you don't want them. What are you pregnant with? Are you pregnant? I'm not pregnant. There are hairs in the dishes. I'm so scared that I don't eat. I want to rest. Yang Si left the dining table and strode out. Si, slow down and be careful of the child. Chin's mother made a show of chasing her. He was stopped by Chin's father. Where did the child come from? He was not going to tell Chin's mother that Yang Sisi had found the body. He glanced at Aunt Jin from the corner of his eye and had a reason. Aunt Jin, I'm not talking about you. Your cooking skills have become worse and worse recently. If you are not qualified for this job, you can say that I will find someone else. Last night, I told them that Sisi had taken the money from her to buy vegetables and would not allow her to buy vegetables. The meat was cooked at home today, and he specially asked it to be kept for Sisi, but she actually did not warm it for Sisi to eat. When has a hair for one person? Obviously he doesn't take Sisi seriously. He hires people who work, not who stir up trouble. Aunt Jin's face turned red and pale. Hey, I'm capable of the job. Yang Sisi returned to the room and adjusted herself for more than half an hour before her mood gradually calmed down. She looked at the time and saw that the clock pointed to 7:15. Where has ACI gone? She took a change of clothes and went into the bathroom to take a shower. While washing her hair, she unconsciously began to think of the scene at the lake again. The calmed down heart was beating fast. She quickly took a shower, put on her pajamas before drying herself, and ran to the room. Sitting in front of the dressing table, wiping my hair, I let out a sigh. She was so shocked that she fell off the stool. When I stood up, my arm was pulled by someone. Am I that scary? Chin Yancy stretched out her hand to straighten her trousers. Mom said you vomited at night and thought you were pregnant. Dad said the food was unclean. I'm not pregnant, but the vegetables are unclean and there are hairs in them. In the past, I picked them out and continued to eat them. Today, I thought of the swollen person's hair in the snakeskin bag, covering up the white and swollen hair. The face is so terrible. Yang Sisi still felt a little nauseous as she spoke. Have I offended others? Do I need to go to the lake to light incense sticks? Chin Yancy consoled her. How can it be considered an offense if you help someone get out of the river? Stop thinking so wildly. He took the towel from her hand and wiped her hair. I'll do it myself. Yang Sisi stopped his movement but held his hand. After the skin touches each other, it immediately releases. Chin Yancy, avoid me. No. Yang Sisi refused to admit it and interrupted. Where did you go in the afternoon? Your smell has changed. Chin Yancy lowered her head to smell her sleeves, and could only smell the shampoo on her head. What does it smell like? Sweat. Yang Sisi said, the fragrance. It was very light. She said half truthfully, are you staying with another girl? Chin Yancy retorted, don't accuse me unfairly. I spent the whole afternoon with men. Oh. Yang Sisi's mind twitched. Men and men can also get along. The history books I read recorded many couples, including male queens. Qin Yanxi tapped her forehead with his finger. Stop talking nonsense. Uncle Shen and I were together. He taught me some self-defense methods. I was worried that the smell of sweat would be suffocating you, so I took a bath there. He originally planned to hide it. Holding her. But she actually lumped him in with a man. Even the male queen moved out. Absolutely outrageous. He had to defend himself. Yang Sisi touched her sore forehead. He taught you, was he strict? It's harsh. Qin Yanxi put down the towel. It's almost done, let's rest. I fell into that bastard's trap. He has no idea of taking advantage of SISI now, he just wants to sleep. Originally, he was not planning to go tomorrow. Shen Yushan said that he could not fish for 3 days and dry the nets for 2 days. He had already made a study plan for 3 consecutive months, with 1 day off every Saturday. He turned over the calendar. In the next 3 months, he will only be able to spend 2 days with her. In other words, every time he appears, his time is occupied by martial arts training. After this period of study is over, school will start. The studies in the university will definitely not be easy, and she has to learn to get a driver's license again. They spend less time together. But there was one thing that he was satisfied with. His eyes were a little afraid of light, so Shen Yushan found a doctor to check him. Because his foundation is fine, the doctor said that it is a psychological effect and can be recovered through certain training. Yang Sisi, you are not his subordinate, why are you so harsh? I will go find him. Hardness is not a bad thing, I can bear it. Qin Yanxi took off his clothes and changed them like this. Yang Sisi turned her back to him. Qin Yanxi raised the corners of his lips. Sisi, can you help me massage my waist? I trained for a long time today. If I don't massage it in advance, I'm afraid I won't be able to get out of bed tomorrow. He changed his clothes regardless of whether Sisi agreed or not. Lie down on your stomach. Yang Sisi thought about it for a long time, then walked over and pressed his waist. Is this so? Heavier. You should use a little force. A little heavier. You should press hard enough. Qin Yanxi was in pain. Sisi, be gentle. Your waist is about to break. Sometimes it's heavy, sometimes it's light. What's going on? Qin Yanxi made another request, compare the importance of the importance, and the importance of the importance. Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone. Author, Yuan. Chapter 358. Chapter 358, The Grasshopper. Yang Sisi, she endured it and did as he said. Standing beside the bed, she couldn't move easily, so she motioned for him to lie down inside. She squatted on the bed and pressed, is it okay? Well, hurry up. Aunt Jin passed by and her face turned red when she heard what was going on inside. I didn't expect that my boss's son was so hopeless. He was actually being ridden by a woman. Yang Sisi was speechless, wondering if he was angry at Uncle Shen today and was going to vent it on her, deliberately looking for trouble. Thinking about it, I think it's impossible. He is not that stingy person. She said, see, I plan to send Grandma back to her hometown in the next 2 days. There will be no solution for the matter of buying and selling for a while. You can't keep the old lady waiting for her. Qin Yanxi responded unclearly, well, I'll accompany you. No need. Qin Yanxi refused. Yang Sisi stretched out her head and saw that he had fallen asleep just like that. Looks like I'm really tired. Yang Sisi pressed him for a moment, pulled off the clothes around his waist, gently helped him turn over, and after he fell asleep on his back, covered him with a quilt. Pick up the book on the bedside table and read it. Just turned a page. There was a knock on the door from outside. Sisi, open the door. I have something to ask you. Hey Ying Sisi put down her book, got out of bed and opened the door. Mom, what's the matter? Chin's mother stood at the door. After entering the room, she looked beside the bed. Chin Yancy was lying on her back with her eyes closed. Did you fall asleep at the banquet? Well, he went to Uncle Shen's house today to learn some skills, and he was tired. Mother of Chin looked at Ying Sisi. There was not a single wrinkle in her pajamas, her hair was dry, and her face was normal. She did not move violently like Aunt Jin described. Why don't you sleep? I am not sleepy. Your Aunt Jin said that she just passed by your house and heard some noises, and she thought something happened. Ying Sisi glanced sideways at Aunt Jin. What's going on? Even if something happens, it's still between husband and wife. Are you interested? Mother of Chin. Aunt Jin said, in our hometown, women can't. Well, that would be treason. Ying Sisi was puzzled. What do you mean? What did I do? Chin's mother couldn't say anything. We misunderstood. You should go to bed early. She left. Aunt Jin looked at Ying Sisi, and then at Chin Yancy, who had slept until everyone was talking and was not woken up. She felt that this woman was extremely powerful and drained her dry. She didn't dare to say it openly and left. Ying Sisi chased her out. Mom, please explain clearly, why am I so rebellious? It's inexplicable. Aunt Jin explained in a low voice. Ying Sisi blushed to the root of her neck. You are going too far. Even if she did what the other party said, it was a private matter between them and this person actually eavesdropped. If it really happened, that's it. I don't live at home anymore. Ying Sisi is leaving. Mother of Chin suddenly became frightened. The eldest son and daughter-in-law moved out, and they were often discussed by the neighbors. The second son and second daughter-in-law moved back, and finally managed to save some of the impact. If they move away, won't everyone say that she is an evil mother-in-law? Sisi, please calm down, I'm worried about you too. Are you worried about us eavesdropping? Ying Sisi turned away angrily, went back to the house, locked the door and turned off the lights. Mother Chin chased her to the door, but was blocked outside. Passing through the crack in the door, I saw that the light inside was turned off. Irritated and impatient. Sisi. Ying Sisi ignored him. Chin's mother insisted on shouting and finally woke Chin Yancy up. He had been tired for most of the day, extremely sleepy, and very angry. Why are you shouting if you don't sleep in the middle of the night? Banquet speech, I want to say a few words to Sisi. You can't talk during the day? Do you have to wait until night? Are you looking for trouble? Leave immediately, otherwise we will move back to the courtyard. Chin Yancy enjoyed the two people's residence very much, but he was not used to it at all when they moved back. Even though the living conditions here are much better than those in family homes. Hearing this, Mother Chin did not dare to stay. On the way back, I complained about Aunt Jin's troubles. Why do you think you are telling me this? Aunt Jin didn't expect that things would be different from what she expected. She thought that Ying Sisi would be scolded and scolded by her mother-in-law. I just said this because I felt it was inappropriate. Is it okay now? Chin's mother sneered and left. Go back to the bedroom and inform Chin Yanjun. Chin Yanjun is so annoyed, that's why he hides everything from her, stupid. I'm still wondering why she called you out so late at night. The boss just followed you and believed everything others said, which is why we ended up in this embarrassing situation. If you think about it with your toes, the idea that the surname is Jin is not valid. Sisi just entered the hospital today and lay in pain all afternoon when she came back. She is really tough. How can she hold your son down and bully her like that? Even if Sisi really has that ability, it is just the love between a young couple. What does it have to do with you being a mother-in-law? My hand is stretched out so long, it's me, and I'm bothering you too. Chin's mother regretted it endlessly. I was in a hurry. You are always in a hurry, can't you discuss it with me if you have something to do? Why do I fall in love with a fool like you? Mother of Qin, who is stupid? I'll go talk to Yan Si. Qin Yanjun was worried and dressed up and walked to the backyard. After Qin Yansi was woken up, his sleepiness disappeared completely. Si, are you asleep? No. Yang Sisi was so angry that she couldn't sleep and told him what Aunt Jin had described as her rebelliousness. Who is he actually eavesdropping on our corner? Qin Yansi was equally aggrieved. She is from the Qing dynasty. She was not notified when we were liberated. I will ask my father to drive her away tomorrow. Yang Sisi supported the replacement this time. I think my parents are very good to the ants. Not only do they pay a high salary, but they also have money to make money when buying food. Originally, there were many children in the family, and the ants only took care of the children, and they still had to eat. Mom did it. This is not a help, but a master. The next time you find someone, you must set rules and regulations. For example, you must have an account book for how much you spend on groceries. She suggested finding a girl from the country. Diligent and capable. Mom would not agree to inviting a girl into the house. Qin Yansi listed the rumors he heard from neighbors. Many of the girls invited by others ended up with the boss or the boss's son. I believe the latter one, but I don't believe the first one. Can a girl of 17 or 18 years old fall in love with a middle-aged man? Even if she can fall in love with him, my father won't agree. That's hard to say. People may make mistakes and horses may misstep. The words just fell. Qin Yanjun's voice came, how can you say that about me? Qin Yansi calmly replied, as I said, those who are clean will be clean by themselves. Qin Yanjun, open the door. Sisi and I are lying down. It's not convenient right now. Qin Yansi refused to open the door. You can't leave tomorrow. Qin Yanjun said, Sisi, your mother is a wallflower, has no heirs, can't stand up to others, and doesn't want to cause trouble. I'll talk to her later, don't mind. Yang Sisi heard the elder's apology, so there was no reason not to accept it. She walked down the steps he gave and said, yes. Please vote. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone. Author, Yuan. Chapter 359. Chapter 359 Weirdness. That's it. Qin Yansi's words corresponded to Sisi and Qin Yanjun. Yang Sisi didn't react. If not, what could we do? Should I ask my mother-in-law to write a letter of apology? Inappropriate, right? Qin Yanjun understood, the instigator can't stay. If we drive him away now, your mother won't be able to do all the things at home by herself. She will have to work hard to help her for a few days. I can, Yang Sisi said. Aunt Jin cannot adjust her position in the family, and she catches the wind and ignores the situation. Qin Yansi didn't have time to cover her mouth, and said softly, if you don't finish the work, just throw it away. This time it's better. There is endless work to do all day long looking for trouble. Qin Yanjun's voice came, since you agree, I have nothing to worry about. You two should have a rest early. He left. Yang Sisi pricked up her ears to listen to the footsteps outside. When Qin Yanjun walked away, she retorted, I am also a member of the family. I should do housework. Besides, I don't need to do it every day. Although my mother-in-law is a bit pretentious, she is not as harsh in her dealings with others as Song Hanmei. There is no need for her to wash the whole family's clothes. She only needs to cook a meal at home, tidy her room, and wash her and Qin Yansi's clothes. It doesn't take much time. She pulled the quilt, adjusted her sleeping position, and closed her eyes to sleep. Sisi, I will go out for training tomorrow, What are you going to do at home? Ying Sisi, I have no plans for the moment, I should probably be able to read. A Dream of Red Mansions. I don't quite understand it, and I don't want to read it. That book is for college students like you. I have no idea about the buildings, clothes, and accessories described in it. I can't even remember the names of the characters. Jia Beiyu's family has so many people that it makes me confused. After reading most of the book, I only understood the part about Grandma Lu entering the house and felt deeply about it. I feel like I am Grandma Lu, and entering the city is like entering a mansion. Do you think other people look at me the same way those people living in the Grand View Garden look at Grandma Lu? Qin Yanxi had a smile on her lips. How could it be? You are not of the same era, and she is seeking help, which is different from you. Times are different, but the general situation is the same. Ying Sisi sighed. It would have been better if I had not entered the city. She felt very sad imagining that she was Grandma Lu and being laughed at by countless people. Qin Yanxi put his arms around her and pushed her to lie on top of him. Ying Sisi was startled and put her hand on his chest in panic. What are you doing? She squinted for a moment, thinking of doing something bad. She doesn't agree. She stepped aside. Qin Yanxi grabbed her waist and said, if you don't enter the city, won't I die alone? Ying Sisi stopped struggling and responded seriously, we will meet each other if we are destined. Qin Yan's words were silently recited, and we would meet each other if we were destined to meet him. Is this considered recognition of him? He was satisfied with her answer, yeah. Would you like to rest? Ying Sisi felt sleepy. Qin Yanxi let go of his hand. Ying Sisi quickly got off him, lay down on her back and went to sleep. When she woke up, she was the only one left in the room. Looking at the time, it was only 6:30. Getting up and seeing the note on the bedside table. You don't have to wait for me tonight. Ying Sisi said to herself, who has been waiting for you? She rolled up the note and threw it in the trash can. After getting dressed, she picked up the ball and unfolded it, then put it in her notebook. Even if he was another person, she couldn't bear to throw away his note. Is her current state of mind considered a waste of time? Ying Sisi packed up and went into the bathroom to brush her teeth and wash her face. When she was using a towel, she heard a woman crying outside. Step forward and take a look. It's Aunt Jin. Carrying my luggage bag, with runny noses and tears, I counted all my contributions to this family. I didn't eavesdrop on what happened yesterday, and I already knew I was wrong. Do you need to chase me away? In this matter, she felt that she was at fault. She clearly reminded Ying Sisi with good intentions to be a good wife and mother, but no one in this family appreciated it. It's not surprising that the eldest daughter-in-law wants to deal with the second eldest brother and his wife. Neither of them is normal. Men don't look like men. Women are not womanly. Strange. This is not the first time Qin Yanjun listed Aunt Jin's faults. First, you didn't know how to restrain yourself when shopping for groceries, sowing trouble between us and Sisi. Secondly, did I tell you that Sisi was not feeling well, so I left some good supplements for her in dinner? You promised well, and later how? Finally, you eavesdropped on the young couple's corner and ran to the child's mother to provoke a conflict between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. You won't be restless for a moment, how dare we keep you? Aunt Jin has only one sentence, my original intention is for the dignity of your children. Qin Yanjun didn't understand, what does my child's matter have to do with you? Aunt Jin choked. Qin Yanjun lost patience and ordered the other party to leave the house. Aunt Jin was reluctant to leave. The job in the Qin family is really bad. A monthly salary of nearly 80 yuan, including food and accommodation, where can you find such a salary? She saw Ying Sisi at this time, as if seeing a savior, and stepped forward to hold Ying Sisi's hand. Sisi, for the sake of my usual dedication to work, please intercede with me. I promise, next time go back far away from your room. Yang Sisi moved her wrist, took out her hand and put it in her pocket. You are paid, and working is your job. Your room is quite far from the backyard. Why are you coming to our place? You specially eavesdropped in the corner. She really wanted to explain. I don't know where to start. Can't explain. As soon as this aunt leaves, she will definitely tell everyone that she rode Qin Yanxi. Her reputation. It was not good when I was in my hometown. After I moved to the city, I thought that if I ran a good business, I would be able to make everything clear. At first glance, it's worse than my hometown. Now she can finally understand what the old lady's saying, asking for the upper and the lower means. It is impossible for everything in life to go as planned. Human beings are inherently imperfect. What she can do is to improve her own abilities and strengthen her psychological quality. No matter what others say, she will treat them as farts. Aunt Jin's eyes were wandering, and Yang Sisi thought she was a ghost. Qin Yanjun saw it even more. What are you doing in the backyard? Don't tell me, I have someone to investigate. If you find out, it will be a serious matter. Aunt Jin knew Qin Yanjun's ability and said hurriedly, I saw that you didn't drink the wine in the warehouse, so I gave 2 bottles to my natal brother. What? If we don't drink it, why don't you give it away? Is it from your family? Aren't you stealing it? Yang Sisi announced loudly. Why do you have the key to the warehouse? I don't even have one. Did you only take 2 bottles? Mom and Dad, do you want to check the warehouse? Mother Qin was stunned for a moment when she heard this, then she reacted and said, I'll check it out right now. Aunt Jin bit her lips and turned white, looking particularly nervous. I really only took 2 bottles of wine. Were you bribed to get those wines? Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone. Author, Yuan. Chapter 360. Chapter 360. Are you still a lady? Qin Yanjun fell back angrily. Who took the bribe? I bought it myself. His wine. He urged Qin's mother to move faster. Mother of Qin ran back to the house to get the record book. Yang Sisi went to join in the fun, and then she realized that her mother-in-law had the habit of keeping accounts. She kept a record of how much she spent every day. If a single expenditure exceeded 5 yuan, the reason would be clearly written. Mother-in-law took inventory. 5 bottles of famous wine are missing. There are 3 boxes less of miscellaneous brands given by relatives during the Chinese New Year. There are 6 fewer cigarettes. The father-in-law calculated the losses in his mind, 116. Mother Qin turned around to ask for Aunt Jin's salary, but there was no one there. She scolded, immoral old woman. I can run away, but the monk can't run away from the temple. Qin Yanjun, the key has always been with you, how could she have it? I didn't pay attention. Qin's mother was puzzled. I never leave the key. Come on, I saw you put it on the coffee table the day before yesterday. The old lady must have secretly made one while you weren't paying attention. Quickly change the locks inside and outside. Qin Yanjun looked a little gloomy as he went out. I always felt that something was missing, and it took me a long time to remember. Where is Sisi? He was here just now. At this time, Yang Sisi chased Aunt Jin, controlled her, and dragged her to a secluded place. Aunt Jin couldn't break free and called for help. Yang Sisi bang bang puts down his fists. If he sees that the other person is dishonest, he should beat him to death until he stops. Yang Sisi asks the other party to write down evidence of the crime. Aunt Jin did not dare to write, so she proposed to count the wine as money. All right, 116, Yang Sisi said. Aunt Jin only had the 40 yuan she had just received as a salary, so she spent all of it. At home, my brother is useless. He eats, drinks, whores and gambles all day long, so my salary is used to subsidize him. Yang Sisi, Why do you stick to your brother and use your own things instead of our family's things? Write a letter of guarantee quickly, otherwise you won't be able to withstand my methods. Aunt Jane could not escape, so she had to do as Ying Sisi said. Ying Sisi recovered 40 yuan, plus an IOU and a letter of apology. Took it and went home. Father and mother of Qin were about to look for her, and they met at the door. Mom and Dad, I have something to tell you. Ying Sisi stepped over the threshold, described the facts, and took out the recovered money. Thanks to you, Qin Yanjun was very satisfied. He only took the IOU and the letter of apology. This is all the family's expenses these days, so save some money. Ying Sisi, okay. Mother Qin lowered her head and looked at her watch. It was already 7:30. I originally planned to buy groceries, but that woman delayed me for so long. I have to eat quickly, and I have to go to work later. Qin Yanjun, when you go to work, ask about the ant. It's best to dig one out from someone else's house. Finding one yourself is still unreliable. Mother of Qin, it's so easy to dig. Is there any diligent middle-aged ant in Sisi village who is willing to go to the city to work as a helper? It is always better to know the basics. There are quite a few diligent ants, but their relationship with me is not good. Ying Sisi was not willing to interact with the goddesses in the village. Afraid of being exposed. Second, she was worried that Uncle Shen would find her one day and be discovered by him, exposing his background. Qin's father glared at Qin's mother. You, Sisi is still Lao Li's child in name, but you invite people from her village and tell them clearly that Sisi has nothing to do with Li Junlu. I forgot about this. You won't forget it until you eat it. Don't go to work later. It's important to change the locks. Mother of Qin. After breakfast. When Qin's father and Qin's mother went out, Ying Sisi took care of things at home. After finishing the housework, I took the vegetable basket and bought some vegetables, then went into the wing to find a book and read. At noon, I went out on my bicycle. Passing by the family courtyard. Thinking that the house had become my father-in-law's resting place again, I stopped to go up and take a look. After getting into the car and leaving the family home, someone stopped me. Ying Sisi, I have your letter. Ying Sisi took the envelope and it was from a man named Lu Xiaoxian near the cigarette factory in the same city. Reply from renting a house? She opened it quickly. The other party simply drew the general shape of the house. 2 houses, a kitchen, and a small yard outside, about 200 square meters, with a pressurized water well in the yard. Monthly rent is 20. Excludes electricity and heating charges. If you are interested, you can come to the Chunfeng Tea House in the city for an interview this Tuesday. Ying Sisi decided to go. 20 yuan a month, the price is relatively reasonable. She destroyed the letter and walked straight, but was stopped halfway. Do you remember me? Ying Sisi recognized the other person as a girl with a patch of bald head due to burns. The strands of hair on her forehead were much thicker than the last time they met. Her hair growth cream is so effective. Remember, you have more hair. Yes, but there is still no hair growing in this area. You are so capable. Is there any good way to treat it? Ying Sisi is ashamed. If she had the ability, she would not be bound by rules. Have you seen a doctor? It costs a few cents to go to the hospital. How can I have money? Ying Sisi helps her forehead. The hospital spends money, but she doesn't spend money, right? I don't know how to look at scalps. You should go to the hospital and ask the doctor. Hey, please. You're welcome. Ying Sisi rode to the old lady's house, locked her car under the awning and went upstairs. She saw the old lady taking a lunch break through the window, and stood in the corridor waiting for a cup of tea. The old lady woke up and said, "Sisi, here we come again." Ying Sisi, what do you mean? Do you still want to go home? Think about it. Hey, the weather here is so bad. The seasons have changed these days. I'm so hummed. Look at my mouth. I hold a water cup to drink all day long, but I'm still hummed. People who are exposed to the sun at noon are irritable, and it's cold at night. It's terrible, the climate is not as comfortable and pleasant as ours. The old lady wished she could spread her wings and fly back to her hometown. Yang Sisi, let's go back the day after tomorrow. Is the business deal settled? Yang Sisi's mood suddenly dropped. No, my father-in-law knows what I have done, and he has repeatedly told me not to touch it. I will stop for 2 months and wait for the wind. Wait for the opportunity. Good things will take a long time, and I am not in a hurry. There's no point in being anxious. Things still need to be done step by step. The old lady praised, you have a good character. Why didn't I come with you to the banquet? He learned skills from Uncle Shen. Why don't you follow suit? Yang Sisi simply said, I don't want to learn. I am a lady, and the work of dancing with swords and sticks is not suitable for me. The old lady laughed and said, you are still a lady. She had laughed enough, but felt distressed. She didn't want to learn. Is she afraid that she would be soft-hearted? Her Sisi is so nice, why is she? Why? Why can't God let her Sisi family have a complete primitive family? After Yang Sisi sat down, he poured tea without any courtesy. The old lady's thoughts changed. Will this room be empty after I leave? Well, you should stay there occasionally. The old lady said again, you can see which of these foods can be easily taken away. If you leave them here, no one is at home. It would be a pity to attract thieves. Yang Sisi, I'll take it to the mall and return it later. Please vote.